Hi, Algebra 1. This is page 193 to 194. This was the homework. This might have been tougher to do with some of the reading that was on there, so I'm just going to run through the answers, reading the questions. Problem number 1 says a scatter plot below shows which relationship. So basically, your dots are kind of like this, and that would be answer A. It would be a strong positive. Okay, strong because you definitely see a line that takes place here. Positive because the slope is a positive slope. Number 2, they have a scatter plot that kind of looks like this. And this is this would be, I would say it's got to be D. There's no correlation. I mean, you somewhat have a straight line. Maybe it's not D. Maybe I would say it might be a weak positive, maybe, but that's a pretty bad representation, correlation. Remember, correlation goes between positive 1 and negative 1. We're not finding that yet. Number 3, then we have data that kind of looks like this on number 3. And this would be I would say it would be a weak negative correlation. And the reason it's negative is the slope is negative. Okay. Number 4, then we have it kind of like this. And I would say, I could say that would be a weak negative or weak positive correlation. And again, the positive refers to is the slope a positive slope or a negative slope. Number 5, independent, which is the x. In this case, it's going to be depth in feet. Depth, there's only in feet. The dependent, so that was A, this is B. Dependent, it's going to be the y, which is going to be the temperature. Of the water. And then we want to pick 2 points, 2 dots that work. So if we were looking at our dots, they're kind of coming down like this. They're pretty much in a line. I would pick the first one and the last one. So the very first one looks like it'd be about 10, 100. And then the last one looks like it'd probably be 100, 10. And that's coincidental that they're flip-flops of each other. That's just what, looking at the graph, what they look like. So I'm going to call this x1 and y1. Call this x2 and y2. So let's find the slope first. The slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to give me 10 minus 100 and 100 minus 10. So in this case, it'll be negative 90 over 90, which I can reduce that to negative 1. Then I'm going to use my point slope, which is this equation. So this is my x1, y1. So remember when I plug them in, they become opposite values. And then let's go ahead and distribute over the parentheses. So I get y minus 100 equals negative x plus 10. Add 100 to both sides. So this is my linear equation. And is there anything else that it's saying? They want us to know, does it have a positive or negative correlation? Because our slope is negative, it's got a negative correlation. Okay, so negative correlation just means the slope would be a negative slope. And then on the next page, letter E, they want us to talk about what's the slope. So it's negative 1 over 1. So remember up top, our y value was temperature, and our x value is depth in feet. So this basically means we drop 1 degree Fahrenheit for each 1 foot lower in the water. Okay? And then the y-intercept, this is our y-intercept right here, so this is answer to F. our y-intercept is 0, 110. So again, remember our x value is our depth, and this is our temperature. So this means at 0 feet into the water, the temperature is 110 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot water. And that's what this is what the y-intercept tells us. This is what the y-intercept tells us in the context of this problem. And then we want to know what the temperature would be if we were 50 feet deep. So remember, our equation is y equals negative x plus 110. So if we were 50 feet deep, I'm going to plug 50 in here, so y equals negative 50 plus 110. So that's going to tell us that it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And the last one, letter H, they say if it's 55 degrees, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug the 55 in for the y, so 55 equals negative x plus 110. Subtract 110 from both sides. Those cancel, so that's going to give me negative 55 equals negative x, multiply both sides by negative 1, so x equals 55. So if it's 55 degrees Fahrenheit, he is 55 feet deep in the water. That's pretty deep. Okay. On page 195, those are the directions if you have a calculator. But I want you to open up a website on your computer. Open a second tab. I'm using Firefox, you can use whatever, and type in desmos.com, desmos.com, and hit return. And you want to go to the graphing calculator. So as we go through this problem, be looking at your page on page 195. So this is a word problem that talks about how many people would show up to the neighborhood pool based on the temperature. And so you hit the plus button and you go down and you find the table. And you notice that it's going to say X1 or Y1 at the very top. Okay. We raise your hand if it says something different than X1, Y1, or if you can't find that table, I'm happy to come over during the lesson and show you where to find it. But you're going to have to go back and forth between, we can do most of this just plugging it in. So what I'm going to do, my X values are 80, and you can just hit return all the way down. So 80, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, and 96. And then use your arrow and go back up to the very top. So with 80, our number of people was 121 on this first one. Then 82 is at 120. 83 is at 126. 84 is at 127. And if you make a mistake, just arrow back up to it and change your mistake. 124 is our next one at 85. 86 is at 130. 87 is at 133. 88 is at 133. 89 is at 138. 91 is at 136. 92 is at 139. 93 is at 145. 94 is at 142. 95 is at 138. And 96 is at 145. So make sure that make sure your numbers are right. maybe pause the video to make sure the video that your numbers are plugged in here correctly. Once your numbers are plugged in, you see this plus with a little magnifying glass. If you click that, it's going to change the screen so you can see your data that's plugged. Okay, so that appears to be a positive correlation because we're going to have a line of best fit that's going to fit. Now, your next step, make sure that's all correct. Are you able to see that on your screen, what's on the video, the same thing that's on your computer? I mean, does it look very much similar to it? Then you're going to come down and you're going to type into the second column. And remember, at the very top of our data, we had x1 and y1. Okay, so you're going to go type y and then 1, and it's going to make it the 1 down a little bit. You're going to hit tilde, which is you hit shift right by the number 1. Raise your hand if you can't find it, and I'll come over and help you. And then mx, and remember it's x1 plus b. And so it should have a line that shows up. So this is not an equal sign. Don't put it equal. Make it that little tilde. It's the shift right next to the 1. But notice it gives you all this information. Well, this is your slope right here, 1.55, and your y-intercept is negative 3.95. So your equation would be y equals 1.55x plus negative 3.95. Okay? The R value is what you're looking at. Don't pay attention to the R squared. That's for something else in statistics. Look at the R. Okay, so what is the equation of line of best fit? The equation of line of best fit is y equals 1.55x minus 3.95. That's the answer for A. The answer for B, what does the slope mean in the context of this problem? Okay, remember the slope, it's 1.55, but put 1.55 over 1. So I'm going to go to this, back to the screen. So I'm going to put 1.55 over 1. This is my slope. So my y value is people, and this is my temperature. And so the slope in the context of the problem is we add 1.55 people for every 1 degree warmer. That's the context of the slope. The y-intercept on our problem, our y-intercept is negative 3.95. So our y-intercept is negative 3.95. So it's 0, 3.95. This means if it is 0 degrees outside, then there is negative 3.95 people at the pool. Now, this doesn't always make sense. A lot of times this is called extrapolation. Extrapolation is outside of our data set, so it doesn't always have to make complete sense of, how would I have negative 3.95 people? You wouldn't. It's just that this is what it means in the context. And then what is the correlation? The correlation of our problem, we're going to look at our R value, 0.9456. So our correlation is 0.9496. So this is a strong positive correlation. Okay? We can go ahead and flip the page. We're going to try more data. We're on page 196 now. Okay? So I'm going to go back to the Desmos. Go ahead and hit the X there, and you can hit the X there, and we're going to go find the table again. So we're going to hit the plus button, down to table, and again, it's going to say X1, Y1. Let me know if yours doesn't say X1 and Y1, so I'll come over and help you. So this is, we're talking about the tip and the meal cost. Okay, so for my X values, I'm going to put 4.75. Again, I'm on page 196, 6.84. 12.52, 20.42, and 8.97. And then I'm going to use my arrow. I'm going to go back up to the top. With 475, the tip was 50 cents, so 0.50, 0.90, 1.50, 3.00, 1.00, and remember, hit the little plus button here, and that's going to show us our thing. So this shows a pretty strong positive correlation. Okay, now we want to find the line of best fit. So I'm going to come down to number 2. I'm going to hit Y1 because we have Y1 as our top. We're going to hit our tilde button, which is next to the 1. You have to hit Shift, hold Shift, and then the number right next to 1. MX1 plus B. And so again, this is going to show us the stuff. Okay, so it looks like we have an R value of 0.9911. That's great. We have a slope of 0.156937. So we're going to round that. And then we have a y-intercept of 0.299299 or 29, whatever that is. So we have enough information to start talking about this problem. So I'm going to go back, find a new screen. So my line of best fit, my slope was 0.156. So I'm going to make that 0.16. I rounded it up, okay? And then my y-intercept is negative 0.29. So I'm going to make that, I'm going to round it to negative 0.30. Okay? And then I'm just going to write down so I don't have to keep going back and forth. My correlation is 0.991. 9911. Okay. So my slope, this is my slope. I'm going to put it over 1. Okay. So this is the tip over the cost. So that means I'm going to get 0.16, so 16 cents for each extra dollar for the meal. That's the context of it. Interpret the y-intercept. The y-intercept is this. So it's our y-intercept is 0, negative 0.30. So this means if meal cost $0, then negative 30 cents for a tip. That kind of seems weird. Identify and interpret the correlation coefficient. Correlation coefficient is this. So this is a strong positive correlation. Okay, that's really close to 1. That's really good. Now they want us to figure out if a meal costs $10, how much is the tip going to be? So I'm going to take my linear equation, which is y equals 0.16x minus 0.30. And what I want to do is I want to plug 10 in for x. And I would use a calculator. I have some in the pink bucket if you need to borrow one. So I'm going to go 0.16 times 10 minus 0.30. So this means a $10 meal, you should get $1.30 in tip. And letter F, do I think this equation fits well? Well, 0.9911 means yes. If our R value is like 0.7 all the way up to 1, that's really good. Okay, so I think you'll have to use Desmos on the problems for tomorrow. So the homework is going to be page let's go here, page 197 and 198. Okay. Um, 1 through 4, you just use our old way to find the slope, and then use point slope, and then solve it for slope intercept. And then 5, 6, and 7. So 5 through 7, you're going to use the Desmos and try and figure out the best you can. Let me know if you have any questions. I know we kind of went back and forth. You might have to back up a little bit on some of these video to rewatch some stuff, but have fun with this. It's a useful tool. I think you're going to enjoy. Have a nice day.